Okay, so now I guess it is time. Right, so anyway, so last week we talked about molecular basis of carcinogenesis. We just talked about the introduction. Now today we'll try to understand what is this molecular base of carcinogenesis and everything regarding that. Okay, so there are some general principles that we need to know. We'll try to focus on that. At the same time, we'll try to build upon the principles that we have already learned from last time. Okay, so now, so initially last week I told you what is neoplasia. So I told you neoplasia is something where you have a neoplasm, right? So a neoplasm is something where there is a genetic mutation, and this genetic mutation is leading to growth. And this genetic mutation can be acquired or it can be inherited. Okay, so genetic mutation, growth, and this genetic mutation can be inherited or acquired. Okay, so now let's take our good cell. Okay, so what is happening to this cell? So this is the cell, the yellow thing is the nucleus. So what is happening is that initially you have some kind of an acquired mutations which happen. It can be, mutations can be acquired, mutations can be inherited. Okay, acquired means they are from environmental causes. For example, carcinogens, okay, bacteria, viruses, they can cause some kind of mutation, radiation, all these come under acquired inherited, acquired environmental causes, whereas inherited causes are the ones which come from parents. Okay, so when you inherit a mutation from your mom, dad, or both, okay, so that is called as inherited mutation. Okay, so the either thing is whether it is acquired or inherited, that can happen. So what do they do to this cell is basically these mutations are there in the DNA. We talked about earlier, DNA is there in the nucleus. Right, so what happens is, apart from these mutations, initial mutations, there are also some other mutations which happen. Okay, so they can also be environmental, they can also be inherited. There's some mutations happen. So now we have our cell. Okay, so the first cell, it is called as a foundation cancer cell. So we talked about neoplasia is of two types, benign and malignant. So cancer refers to more of a malignant tumor. Okay, so whenever I say cancer, I'm talking about malignant tumor. So now you have this other mutations which happen, and now it is a foundation cancer cell. And now, very, very importantly, this foundation cancer cell has something called as stem cell property. So now, very important to remember. So what is the stem cell property? What is the meaning of stem cell? Yeah. Can you name any stem cell that you know of? Anyone in the online also, like if anyone knows what is a stem cell? Yeah. Hemopoietic. Someone told hemopoietic stem cell. Very good. Okay. So where is hemopoietic stem cell? It is in the bone marrow. So what is its function? To produce more RBCs. For example, RBCs live only for 120 days. So after that, what should happen? The RBCs should be regenerated, and these are coming by the hematopoietic stem cell which has been divided. Okay, so apart from that, other thing, any other thing we have? Any other common thing? Which is one tissue which gets always turned over all the time? Is there any organ in your body which turns over all the time? Very good, epithelium. Okay, what epithelium more commonly? Our skin. Okay, skin, right? So is there any stem cell in the skin? Yeah, so skin is lined by stratified squamous epithelium. And the bottom layer is called as basal layer. Okay, basement membrane, that is above the basement membrane, you have something called as a basal layer. A basal layer acts as a stem cell of the skin. The top layers they go away, but the bottom layers they produce more and more. Okay, so stem cell is the cell which divides. That point I want to make. Okay, so this normal cell, whatever was there, suddenly now because of these mutations, it has undergone stem cell like changes. So now its property is to divide. Okay, so now we'll see what happens. Okay, so now this has come. Okay, so whatever these two mutations, initially whatever the mutations have driven the cell to become this cancer cell, they are called as driver mutations. Okay, they are called driver because they have driven the cell from normal into a very dividing cell. So these are called as driver mutations. Okay, so now we'll see what happens. So this foundation cancer cell, which has stem cell like properties, will start to divide. So what will happen as a result? One cell will become, yeah, how many times? Like normally, how does the cells divide? One cell becomes two. Okay, so our cell has becoming, now one cell has become two cells. So what will happen to these two cells? They'll become four cells. So what will happen to these four cells? They'll become eight cells. So all these cells, now they'll divide multiple times. They'll become millions of cells. Okay, they start with a single cell and now they're becoming millions of cells. So now what do we call this? What do you call this phenomenon of millions of cells they're forming from a single cell? Yeah, anyone? Monoclonal. So last time I told you, neoplasia is monoclonal. Very, very important to remember. It starts with a single cell. Okay, because of a single cell which has undergone mutations, now it is dividing rapidly to produce millions of cells, and all these cells, remember, they have originated from a single cell. Okay, so that is very, very important to remember. Right, so I talked about hyperplasias, reactive conditions. These are all usually polyclonal. That means multiple cells will give rise to this. But whereas neoplasia, cancers, whether benign or malignant, they are all monoclonal. Okay, so because monoclonal, because they are coming from a single cell. So now very importantly, what happens is when these cells are dividing, there can be additional changes which can happen. Okay, so these cells are rapidly dividing all the time. Okay, so sometimes what can happen is there can be additional mutations which take place. For example, let's take the cell here on the left. Okay, so in this cell, let's imagine I have kept a star. Okay, this is one kind of mutation which has happened. Some different mutation. Okay, so some different kind of mutation. Whereas in this second cell, there is another mutation. When you compare, the background is same. They all started with a single cell, but now what happened? In one cell there is a star, in one cell there is a square. There is a different type of mutation in both cells. So what will happen to their daughter cells? This cell is giving rise to these two cells. This cell is giving rise to these two cells. So what will happen to this mutation? It will get once again transferred to its progeny. Okay, so here you see. Okay, so now what is happening here? One second, there's some issue with the. So what happened? These mutations were transferred to its progeny. So within the same tumor, you have different types of cells now. They all started from a single cell, but somehow the main mutation is same, but the different mutations which take place later, they are different from each other. Okay, so that's why they call this something as genetically heterogeneous tumor. So even though it started similarly, now it is heterogeneous because some different subclones have been formed. Okay, in the same clone only, different subclones have been formed. Okay, so these are called as heterogeneous, genetic heterogeneity, and these tumors, these mutations which have happened later on, they are called as passenger mutations. Okay, so driver mutations and passenger mutations. Because imagine like if you go in a bus, so what happens? Driver is the same all the time throughout the journey, whereas passengers, some get down, some get on. Okay, so that's the idea. So basically, the driver mutations of all these cells are similar because they all started from a single cell, whereas passenger mutations are different for each cell. So you can have subset of these clones within the same tumor complex. Okay, so that is the idea of this thing. So remember, there are two types. One is the driver mutations, which give this cancer cell a stem cell-like property, that is, the cell will start to divide, whereas passenger mutations, they lead to heterogeneous properties. So now, why are passenger mutations important? I'll just tell you once again. Okay, so let's take a guy, let's imagine he's 50 years old. Okay, let's call him patient A, and let's call other guy patient B. So we'll call him patient B, right? So you may say that they both look very similar. Okay, only their dresses are similar. Okay, imagine this is, we don't have a lot of budget for two different people. So the same people, we have changed the dress and put in. Okay, so patient A and patient B. Okay, so now what happened? Both of them are 50 years old, both of them are same age. And now they both have been diagnosed with a similar type of carcinoma, which is called as hepatocellular carcinoma that you see with liver. Okay, so both had same liver cancer, both are exactly similar. 50 years of age, both male, and both had similar type of hepatocellular carcinoma. So now what will you do if someone gets a carcinoma? What is the next step of action that is normally happening? Yeah, what happens usually? Yeah,
treatment starts.
You have to give chemotherapy, you have to give radiotherapy. Very good. So someone said chemotherapy, so you can give medicines or you can give radiation. So let's imagine both have got the same treatment. Okay, so one got chemotherapy, one got radiotherapy. Okay, so now what happened? The next is the patient A, he has lived for 2 years. He died in 2 years. Okay, whereas patient B, he lived for 15 years. Okay, so now who responded well? Patient B or patient A? Patient B responded to treatment very well, because now what happened as a result? Because patient B responded to treatment really well, he lived for longer. Okay, so obviously he lived for longer, whereas patient A, he didn't respond to treatment properly. That's why what happened? He lived for only 2 years. Okay, so these passenger mutations, remember, they are important for the survival. Okay, what happens? I told you, right? So even though they are both similar cancers, the aggression, whatever the tumor, the behavior of this tumor is dictated by the passenger mutation. Okay, so how the tumor behaves. Okay, so what is one important thing about a malignancy? Metastasis. Okay, so if you have bad passenger mutations, the tumor can metastasize very quickly and very rapidly and very far and very to all the organs it can go. Okay, so remember, that is the importance of passenger mutation. So this concept is called as cancer evolution. Okay, so because they all started like a similar thing, but some cancers are much more deadly than others. Why they are deadly than others? Because of the further mutations that they have undergone. Okay, so these are called as cancer. This concept is called as cancer evolution. And one of the important things here are passenger mutations, which make all the difference. Okay, so depending on what. Okay, if you don't have very bad passenger mutations, you may respond well to chemotherapy, radiotherapy. If you have bad cancer mutations, you may respond to that. Okay, so now just lock the door. They're asked not to. Anyway, so now we have, so last week we talked about 4 types of classes. Okay, so what are the 4 types of classes of genes that are involved? We have inactivation of So for basically tumor suppressor genes. Okay, so tumor suppressor genes, the name itself implied that they suppress tumor formation. Okay, so now you have inactivation. So obviously, when you have inactivation, then the tumor suppressing ability is gone. So that's why you can get a cancer, you can get a tumor. Okay, what about other things? Proto-oncogenes. Proto is pro, onco is cancer genes. Okay, so these are cancer causing genes, and if they are overactivated, then this happens. Okay, so next is DNA repair genes. So normally, whenever your DNA is damaged, it has to be repaired. Okay, when it is not repaired, if the cell lives on, it will predispose to neoplasia. And number 3, and lastly, we have inactivation of pro-apoptosis genes. Okay, so normally a cell, whenever it has a damage or when the cell is old, it has to die. For some reason, it is not dying because of inactivation of this pro-apoptosis genes. What will happen? The cell will become immortal. Okay, the immortal cell will start dividing. Okay, so that is the idea of normal. Okay, so tumor suppressor genes, proto-oncogenes, DNA repair genes, and lastly, pro-apoptotic genes. So now we'll talk about these two important genes, very, very important to remember, are called as tumor suppressor genes and proto-oncogenes. Okay, so in your body, these two genes are very, very important. They work together, they work in equilibrium, and any disturbance to this equilibrium will lead to neoplasia. Okay, so now, so most of you have vehicles, right? Some may have a bike, scooty, car, anything, right? So you know that in a vehicle, there are two important things. One is an accelerator, one is a brake. And accelerator and brake, they complement each other rather. Okay, so accelerator, brake, they both work together. Okay, without both, you can't drive a car. Okay, so now we'll see what happens. We'll try to put this once again. So imagine this is the car. Okay, there's some guy in the car. So you imagine it's you. Okay, so you are coming to the college. Okay, so you may ask, sir, why this car is very small, not a big car? I told you, right? Low budget film. So you only have this little car which is there. Okay, so now let's imagine. So let's take this car and we are coming to college, right? So what is happening to our college? Yeah, we're coming to college, right? So we started. Now we are coming to college. Yeah, so what are we using? Are we using accelerator, brake, both? Okay, so we are using accelerator, and whenever we have to brake, we have to brake. That is also important. Okay, so we are also added Medicity. Okay, because we are coming to our college, right? So Medicity bus is also there. So now let's imagine. Now you are not using any brake. You are overusing the accelerator. What will happen? What can happen if you don't use the brake properly?
Accident. Hit the bus.
Car can hit the bus. Okay, so what can happen? It can hit the bus like that. Okay, so what happens as a result? Okay, so the bus is actually nice only. The bus, nothing will happen to the bus usually. Okay, so but your car will be destroyed. I told you, right? This is a cheap car also. Okay, so the car will get destroyed. Even worse, you can get injury. Okay, so the idea is when you use only accelerator, you will have a problem. Okay, so what happens if you only use the brake in the other spectrum? If you only use the brake, what will happen? The bus will go, you will not reach the college, you'll be very slow. Okay, so you will stop, you will not get attendance, you'll miss the class. Okay, if you don't go. So that is the idea. So normally accelerator and brake. If you should not overuse accelerator, you should not overuse brake. Okay, so you should not underuse accelerator, you should not underuse brake. Same thing. Okay, so both work together. So in the same way, here also we have tumor suppressor genes and proto-oncogenes. So tumor suppressor genes are like the brakes. They are the braking system in your body. So what do? They regulate, they control cell growth. Okay, so they control the cell growth. Okay, so they don't allow the body to have a lot of growth, like brake. Okay, so what about proto-oncogenes? The proto-oncogenes are genes which are normally there in your body. They promote growth. Okay, so they are like the accelerator in your body. Okay, you have brake and you have accelerator. So now your accelerator in your body is proto-oncogene, whereas brakes in your body are tumor suppressor genes. So that is important to remember. So now we'll see. Firstly, we'll talk about proto-oncogenes. So what are these? Are they accelerator or brake? They're accelerator of your body. Okay, so now you have this accelerator. So now they cause this. Okay, anyway, so now they cause growth. Okay, so proto-oncogenes, they cause growth. Okay, so accelerator, it moves forward. Okay, so they cause growth. So now when they are overactivated, so they're normally active. Okay, so I told you, right? You can't drive a car without an accelerator and brake. But if you do over acceleration, if you activate this proto-oncogenes overly, what will happen? Due to a mutation, that will lead to uncontrolled growth leading to neoplasia. So we know that neoplasia is nothing but cell growth, more and more uncontrollable cell growth. So when you don't control your accelerator, what will happen? The car will go and hit the bus. In the same way, if you don't control your proto-oncogenes, what will happen? They will lead to formation of neoplasia, more growth and more neoplasia. That is the idea. So now genes related to these are mutated. Okay, so the proto-oncogenes are category of genes. I'll talk about that. So firstly, growth factors. Have you heard about growth factors in biochemistry? Yes, can you name one growth factor? Anything?
Endothelial growth factors.
Okay. EGF, epidermal growth factor, PDGF, platelet-derived growth, okay, VEGF, vascular, endothelial growth factor. Okay, so all these things are growth factors. So what is the idea of growth factor? The name itself is telling that they are factors which cause growth. They are normally there. But when they are overactivated, that can lead to neoplasia. So number two is there can also be overactivation mutations of growth factor receptors. So when should a growth factor be activated? A receptor should be activated when the growth factor is there. Okay, but for some reason, if growth factor is not there, but still the receptor is getting active, that can lead to more and more growth. Okay, so number 3 is signal transduction protein. I'll explain what is this just in a while. Don't worry if you don't know, but that is the idea. So next you have transcription factor. So what is the function of transcription factor? The name itself is telling, right? They help in transcription. Okay, so transcription, what happens after transcription? Translation. So after translation, what happens? Protein formation happens. Okay, so the proteins required for cell division, they will come into picture and the cell will divide. That is the idea of transcription factors. And lastly, you have cell cycle regulators. I'll talk about this in a while, but the idea is these are the 5 things which happen. So now we'll talk about once again our good, beautiful cell we have taken. And what is there in the middle of the cell? Nucleus is there, right? So, so here is our nucleus. And now for our purposes, let's put the nucleus down for having space. Okay, so now our nucleus is down. So what are these things? What are these antenna-like things?
Receptors.
Very good. Okay, so these are receptors. Okay, so we call them growth factor receptor. Okay, let's call them growth factor receptors. Now, what is the function of this antenna? What should happen to an antenna normally? If your signal cable is there, it should get a signal. Okay, so how do these growth factor receptors get a signal? They get by growth factors. Okay, so for next thing we'll take is called as growth factor. So these are the growth factors. Okay, so these growth factors are there. They are receptor specific. Okay, so a specific growth factor will act on a specific receptor. So now what will happen? This growth factor, whatever this growth factor is there, it will go and it will bind to the growth factor receptor. This is very, very important. So what is the first step which is happening? Growth factor is binding to growth factor receptor. So now what will happen as a result? Is there any change which happens inside the cell? There is some conformational change which happens inside the cell. That is, it has bound. So now the cell will do its activity, whatever activity it is went to. Okay. So what will happen to this cell is that, so whenever it has bind, there is some kind of a signal which is sent. Okay. So this signal is called as signal transduction. Okay. So this cell is going to where it is going. It is going to the nucleus, because if you want growth, you want division. Now, where is the division happening? Who will manage the division? Nucleus. Okay, so because mainly nucleus should divide. Okay, so basically the DNA material should be replicated. Okay, so that is nucleus plays an important role, because all the proteins that you require for replication are there in the nucleus, because DNA is there in the nucleus. So that is the idea. So now what happens? This signal. So now we'll call it this signal. Whatever has gone, we'll call it signal transduction. Okay, so now our signal transduction is ready. So what will happen? It will go to the nucleus, and in the nucleus it will activate few things such as transcription factors and cell cycle regulators. So transcription factors will produce a lot of proteins that are required for division, and this transcription factors and the cell cycle regulators, they allow the cell to move into division. Okay, so what are the stages of cell cycle? G1 phase, S phase, M phase, G2 phase, and M phase. So G2 phase and M phase. So G1, S, G2, M phase. Okay, so it will, whenever this transcription factors and all are produced and the cell cycle regulators allow for the division, what will happen is the cell will move from G1 to M phase. Okay, so it will divide, the cell will divide. Okay, so this is important to remember. So any disturbances here. Okay, so for example, if you have a lot of growth factors, what will happen? They will always be binding to the growth factor receptor. So what will happen? Always there will be more signal transduction. So there will be more production of transcription factors and cell cycle. Okay, so in your Robbins, they have given a nice road that they have all the roads lead to Rome. Okay, any disturbance here ultimately will lead to in the nucleus. Okay, so more division, and ultimately anything here, anything in this paradigm will lead to all these things. So what about the growth factor receptor? If there are more growth factors, what will happen if there are more growth factors? They will bind to, so more normally if 10 cells, this is they are only binding the 10 cells ka this thing. Okay, so whatever growth factors are there, they'll bind them. So what will happen? There is more signal transduction, there is more production of transcription factors, there is more division. Now imagine if there is some problem in signal transduction protein. Without any signal only, without any growth factor receptor binding only, let's say the signal is getting activated. So what will happen? There is uncontrollable signal transduction which is happening. So ultimately that leads to more division. Okay, so what about transcription factors? Same thing. If transcription factors are abnormally increased because of a mutation in the genes which produce these transcription factors, once again that leads to more and more division. Same thing with cell cycle regulators. When cell cycle regulators are also increased, they also cause more division. So whatever happens in this, they ultimately lead to more division and more cell growth. Okay, so there are a lot of categories. For example, growth factors. So we talked about PDGF. What is PDGF? Platelet derived growth factor. Okay, so whenever it is more, what will happen? That leads to astrocytoma that you see with the CNS. Okay, in the brain you see astrocytes, you know, right? So astrocytes, they usually grow with the help of PDGF. But if PDGF is more and more, what will happen? It will lead to the formation of astrocytoma. So okay, it's the same thing. Okay, so TGF, HGF. Okay, all this is the same thing. What about growth factor receptors? This one is very important. I'll touch on this. Okay, it is very commonly seen in breast carcinoma, which is called as ERBB1. Okay, it actually epidermal growth factor receptor family. They are also called as HER. Okay, maybe you have heard the word HER2. Have you heard anytime before? Okay, I'll explain you what is this. I'll come back to that later on. But the idea, okay, so as I said, even in signal transduction, if you have more and more signals, that also will lead to more growth. And then you have nuclear regulatory proteins and also cell cycle regulators, like transcription factors I told you earlier. And you also have cyclins. I also talk about this later on when we talk about tumor suppressor genes, but keep in idea. So what are the 5 classes? So firstly, you have growth factors. Number 2, you have growth factor receptor. Then you have signal transduction proteins. And then you have transcription factors. And lastly, you have cell cycle regulators. These are 5 classes which are involved. So now let's, for example, let's take a case of astrocytoma, for example. So what is this thing? PDGF. Okay, so PDGF is binding to PDGF receptor. So what will happen when PDGF bind to PDGF receptor? There is all these proteins which are there. These are called as signal transduction proteins. So all these proteins which are there here, they are all signal transduction proteins. And what do they ultimately do? What is NF? Nuclear factor. Okay, it is a transcription factor. So they activate the transcription factor. So what is this transcription factor doing? It is going into the DNA and it is binding to the DNA. So when it binds to the DNA, there is more transcription which happens. Okay, because of this transcription, what happens? Proteins are produced, and these proteins ultimately lead to cell division. Okay, so now what happens if this PDGF are more? If the PDGF are abnormally more, if the gene which is producing this are abnormally more, what will happen? There is more activation of this PDGFR. So what will happen as a result? There is more signal transduction. There is more production of this transcription factors, and ultimately more transcription, more proteins which are for cell division, and ultimately more division, leading to neoplasia. So that is the idea, right? So now, very, very importantly, there is one word which is called as HER2/neu. Okay, so HER2/neu positive breast cancer is a subset of breast cancers. So breast cancers usually are BRCA1 positive like that, but there are some subsets which are called as HER2/neu positive. Okay, so these HER2/neu positive, what are these? Well, I told you before, they are receptor, growth factor receptor. And what is that growth factor? EGFR. They are a family of EGFR. They are also called as ERBB. Okay, avian erythroblastosis gene it is called, but the idea is you need not remember, just remember ERBB, but more commonly it is called as HER. Okay, so HER2. Okay, so HER1 is there, HER2 is there, but HER2 is the one which is more implied in breast carcinoma. Okay, so ERBB2 or HER2. There is amplification of gene. So what is the meaning of amplification? Anyone knows what is the meaning of amplification? What is the meaning of amplify? Yeah, anyone? Yeah. What is amplifying? If you want to amplify something, what does it mean? Very good. Okay, so we usually use for sound. Okay, so when sound is amplified, that means you can hear more sound. In the same way here, what is happening? Gene is getting amplified. Okay, so I'll talk about this. So once again. Okay, so anyway, so I guess I lost my video, whatever I did. Anyway, so the idea is basically, imagine that this is a chromosome. Okay, so this ERBB gene is there in a chromosome, let's imagine. It is like this. Okay, so I told you, right? So what is the difference between a gene and a normal chromosome? Gene is there in a chromosome, but gene is the area which undergoes expression. For example, transcription and translations. Only about 1.5% of your DNA is genes. Rest all the other DNA material is junk DNA. Okay, it does not do anything. So for example, let's imagine in this chromosome, let's imagine this is a HER2 gene. Okay, so this was a HER2 gene. So now let's imagine once again in this patient, in patient, what happened? The size of this HER2 gene has increased. Okay, so when you compare to this 1 and 2, what happened to the size of the gene? It has increased, it has amplified. So as a result, what will happen? So normally, when your gene is normal, it will produce only one receptor, let's imagine. Okay, hypothetically, let's imagine one receptor. But now if that has become very big, what will happen? It will produce more and more receptors. So now if you see from here to here, when HER2 mutation is there, HER2 amplification rather, what is happening? Initially, it was only one receptor, but now there are about 9 receptors. Okay, so now it has increased. So what will happen if there are 9 receptors? What will it do? There is more and more. They'll bind to more and more EGF. EGF is lying around like that only, but they'll bind to more and more. As a result, what will happen? They'll start dividing very rapidly. Okay, so that's why HER2 mutation, whatever breast tumors which have HER2 positive, they will carry a poorer prognosis. Okay, they are actually there are a lot of different types of breast carcinomas molecularly, but HER2 usually carry Poor prognosis. There are worse prognosis than HER2. There are other types of mutations, but remember, HER2 is a bad factor. Okay, so why it is a bad factor? Because when HER2 is there, the tumor is dividing very rapidly. Okay, because it is having a lot of these growth factor receptors, which promote cell growth. So that is important to remember. Right. So now, what is the importance of this? What is the importance of all this is basically what I wanted to tell you guys were. One second. So there is in pharmacology, there is recently there has been a drug which was invented. It is called as trastuzumab. Okay, I don't know how far are you in pharmacology, but if you see MAB, have you seen any MABs in pharmacology so far? What is MAB? Monoclonal antibody. Okay, so there are drugs which are actually monoclonal antibodies, and these can be used. Okay, so what is this trastuzumab? It is a monoclonal antibody against HER receptor. Okay, so what will happen if you have HER receptor and if you use it's also called as Herceptin. Okay, because it destroys the HER receptor. Okay, so that's why it is a promising new drug in pharmacology that they have discovered. Okay, so now we'll see what will it do. So it is a monoclonal antibody. Okay, so let's imagine these are all antibodies, right? So antibody is nothing but it is like that only. Immunoglobulins are like this. Okay, let's call it Herceptin. Okay, trastuzumab or Herceptin. So what do? They go and they bind to our growth cell receptor. This HER2 receptors. These are the black is HER2 receptor, whereas this is trastuzumab. Okay, so these receptors they go and bind to the trastuzumab. And what do? What do antibodies do when they bind to their antigen? They delete them basically. Okay, so they cancel them. Okay, so like that. So what happens as a result? In this patient, because you give trastuzumab, what is happening to this patient? There is good thing which is happening. Okay, what is this happening? Because whatever receptors are there, now these receptors have been basically they have been leveled. Okay, so they have been leveled by the antibody. So this is one promising drug which is there now, which is called as trastuzumab. Its other name is Herceptin. Okay, that is important. So now it is used in the treatment of HER2 positive breast cancer. Okay, so it prevents patients, even the prognosis is still bad with HER2, but at least it prevents it improves the survival. Okay, so usually they say in cancers they say 10-year survival rate, 5-year survival rate. It increases. Okay, so that survival rate it can increase. So we'll come to the tumor suppressor genes. Okay, so what do? They are like the braking system. I told you proto-oncogenes are accelerator, whereas tumor suppressor genes are brakes. Okay, so what do now? They control the growth. They regulate the growth. They control the growth. Okay, so they don't let the growth happen very. Okay, so normally in your body, growth should happen. Without growth, we are nothing. Okay, so growth should happen, but the growth should be highly regulated. Only when you require this growth, you have to have the growth. So that is the idea. So now inactivation of these genes, obviously, proto-oncogenes is you have to have activation, overactivation. Accelerator, you have to push more. Okay, brake, it has an inactive. If you don't want to go forward, you have to inactivate it. Okay, so inactivation of these genes lead to failure of growth inhibition and ultimately leads to more growth leading to carcinogenesis. So that is the idea. So now there are two very important. There are a lot of tumor suppressor genes, but these two I'll discuss today. Those are very, very important. Those are called as TP53 and RB gene. Okay, so P53 and retinoblastoma gene. Right. So the cell cycle we have already talked about: M phase, G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. Okay, so G1 phase to S phase to G2 phase to M phase, and back. Okay, so there is one more phase which is called as G0 phase. Okay, so we are not talking about G0 phase. We'll just focus on the cell which is dividing. Okay, out of all these four, what is the most important phase I told you? S phase. Why S phase is the most important phase? Yeah.
Also multiplication.
Whereas DNA replication happens. That is, we have 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs. Now they have become 92. So you can't go back. Okay, it is a phase where you can't go back. The only way forward is to finish the cell division. Okay, that's why it is very important. So what is the check? So this is the important. So remember, there are some checkpoints between each stage. You have some kind of checkpoints. Okay, I'll talk about that. So there is a checkpoint between G1 phase and S phase. So there is a checkpoint within the S phase. It is called as intra-S checkpoint. There is a checkpoint between G2 and M phase, and there is also a checkpoint in between the M. So what is the idea of checkpoint? What is checkpoint? Have you seen any checkpoint before? Yeah, where? Checkpost, checkpoint. Where did you see a checkpoint?
On the road.
On the road.
Roads
Where?
and highways.
On the highway. Where on the highway? Usually in between states. Okay, so for example, at TS and AP is there. Okay, there is a checkpoint. Why there is a checkpoint? Usually.
Marking the borders.
Yeah, in the border. So that's why normally what can happen, for example, this is more rapid. For example, if Goa is there and from Goa you're coming to Karnataka. How are the alcohol rates in Goa? They are low. What about Karnataka? They are high. Okay, so what can you do? If there is no checkpoint, you can take alcohol from here, you can go to Karnataka, you can sell it. Okay, so that's why it carries more weightage. Even now, recently, like in Andhra, there are not a lot of brands recently. apparently. So that's why all the people who are going there, they're asking for the brands from Telangana. That's why there's a lot of checking going on this. Okay, for alcohol and all. But that's the idea. A checkpoint is there because you want to check if everything is right or not. Okay, if everything is legal or not. Okay, in that case. So here also, importantly, the checkpoints are there to make sure that everything is in order. Okay, if any abnormality is there, the shell should stop. So the most important checkpoints out of all this, can anyone guess what is the most important checkpoint? Yeah, intro or G1 to S? G1 to S. This is the most important because I told you once you are in S phase, there is no going back. Okay, so you have to, whatever, if you don't want the cell to divide, you have to stop it at G1 phase. Okay, so this is G1 to S phase is the most important phase. Okay, so I'll tell you what happens here just in a while, but that is the idea. So now we'll talk about what are the things I told you that previously. There are in proto-oncogenes, there are a few things called as cyclins and cyclin dependent kinases. Okay, so these together with P53 and RB gene. Okay, so these are the accelerators, whereas these are the brakes. They act together, they act in equilibrium, and any equilibrium which is lost, that is, if P53 or RB activity decreases, or if this cyclin activity increases, it leads to more growth. Okay, so remember cyclin and cyclin dependent kinases. If you have any idea, any doubt if they cause acceleration or brake, remember this cycle. Okay, so the name is cyclin, right? Cyclin and cyclin dependent kinases. Okay, cycle dependent kinases. What do you have any reverse gear in cycle? Normal cycle, you can, the only way you can go in a cycle is forward. Okay, so remember cyclins and cyclin dependent kinases, the only thing they do is they cause cell division, they promote cell division. Okay, so cyclins and they promote cell division, whether it's cyclin or cyclin dependent kinase. So now what is a kinase? Yeah, in biochemistry you might have studied.
Adding phosphates.
Very good. Okay, so they phosphorylate. Okay, the phosphorylate the other molecule which comes. So keep it back of this mind. I'll come back to this later in a while. So now, so RB gene, it is called as governor of proliferation. Important to remember. Sometimes people can ask. Okay, one second. Yes. So what is RB? RB is a governor of proliferation. Okay, it is the one which is governing. Should the proliferation happen? Should the proliferation not happen? Proliferation is nothing but cell division. Okay, so proliferation is nothing but cell division. When cell division is there, proliferation is there. More and more cells come. Okay, so it guards. It is like a security guard. It's like a police personnel guarding the most important checkpost, which is G1 to S phase. Okay, so it is like the police person who is guarding G1 to S phase. I'll explain how what does it do and all. Now remember. So firstly, what happens? P53. So what did we talk about P53? P53 is a brake. Okay, so it causes break. So obviously, what happens is it activates something called as CDK inhibitor. CDK cause, what do CDK cause? They cause promotion of cell growth. Okay, so there is one thing called as P16. So what do P53 do? It activates something called as P16. And what do this P16 do? It will go and inhibit cyclins and cyclin dependent kinases. So as a result, what is happening? What do kinases do? You told they phosphorylate. Okay, so now what is happening as a result? It is hypophosphorylated RB is there. So what happens usually is there is one factor which is called as the same thing like this. It is called as E2F. It is a transcription factor. Okay, so E2F is a transcription factor. Okay, so your RB gene will be on this. What happens normally is this is the E2F factor which is there. Your RB gene is basically like a shield to this, like a block. Okay, so like a shield, like a block. Okay, so this is RB. Okay, when kinases are not activated, CDK kinases are not activated, what will happen to the RB gene which is lying on this? It is hypophosphorylated. Okay, because you have blocked the things which cause phosphorylation. Okay, so when it is hypophosphorylated, it will lie on top of this E2F. So once again, if this is the E2F, this is the RB. When RB is hypophosphorylated, okay, so it is hypophosphorylated, it will lie on top of this. So as a result, what it is doing, it is shielding the E2F factor which is there. So normally, what is the function of E2F? E2F will bind to the transcription factor will bind to the DNA and they will cause production of transcription translation of proteins which are involved in cell division. So here what is happening? It is basically inhibiting, it is blocking the E2F. Okay, it is basically silencing the E2F. Rather, we can use that word. So it's already talked about before. Just before going into what happens later on, we'll just talk about P53. It is called as guardian of genome. Okay, so RB was governor of the proliferation, whereas P53 is guardian of the genome. Okay, so what happens is it activates P16. We already talked about P53. It activates P16, and this P16 it blocks CDK and cyclins. Okay, so ultimately, normally what happens is when let's imagine DNA is there. For whatever UV radiation or whatever, this DNA has been damaged. Okay, so whenever DNA damage is there, cells should try to repair the DNA. If the repair is not happening, what will the cells do is they will activate the
Apoptosis.
P53. Okay, P53 is also a pro-apoptotic gene. Okay, so apart from being a tumor suppressor gene, it is also a pro-apoptotic gene. Okay, so now whatever P53 is activated, it activates P16. It will not let the cell divide. So that's why it is very important. It guards the genome because whenever you have damage to the thing, it stops further division. What will happen if it doesn't start the further division? You will have a lot of mutated cells. That's why it is called as guardian of genome, because when genome is destroyed, it will stop cell division. Okay, it doesn't let it forward. Okay, so that is the idea of P53. Okay, so there is one syndrome which is called as Lee-Ferromeni syndrome. Okay, which happens when there is P53 mutation. Okay, so what happens as a result? You get an inherited mutation, an autosomal dominant inherited mutation. Okay, so you get it from your parents. So what will happen as a result? Every cell in your body is having this mutation. So as a result, what will happen? They'll lead to a lot of sarcomas, carcinomas, and usually they occur in young adults. Usually carcinomas are seen in older individuals. Okay, so normally they can see in very young or very old. But here you can see with young adults. Okay, so because they already have this mutation, so they are much more prone to have a lot of mutations. It's most often it is lethal. Okay, so because you have a lot of carcinomas, a lot of sarcomas, and they usually spread a lot and ultimately lead to the death of the patient. So now, anyway, so I talked about this earlier on. When P53 and all are there, what will happen? CDKs are inhibited. As a result, what happens? It leads to hypophosphorated RB. So it is still covering. It is still covering the E2F. Okay, it is still covering to the E2F, and that's why there is no transcription which is happening. It is causing transcription block. Now, very importantly, what happens is our growth factors. We have talked about earlier growth factors, right? So when growth factors are there, what do? They activate the CDK. So our growth factors, they activate the CDK. So what happens if cyclins and CDKs are activated? They phosphorylate. Okay, so kinases you told, they phosphorylate the other molecule. So what happens? So this is there. This is a normal. So it was hypophosphorated before, but now because of this, it starts becoming hyperphosphorated. When CDKs are active, it becomes hyperphosphorated. So as a result, what happens? There is some change which happens and it is getting lifted off. Okay, so what will happen as a result? Normal E2F was there. So now our RB has lifted off. Okay, it is not shielding anymore. Okay, so our E2F is free now. Okay, so now what will happen to this E2F? E2F will go to the DNA, it will bind to this DNA, and it will once again start transcription. Okay, so transcription activation happens, so S-phase genes are produced, and the cell will move from G1 to S-phase. So this is very important to remember. Okay, so if it is an S-phase, ultimately it will undergo cell division. Okay, so now what happens if there is RB inactivation? If there is RB inactivation, what will happen? If it is hyperphosphorylated all the time, what will happen? E2F is always free. Okay, so E2F is always free if there is RB inactivation. If it is always free, what will happen? It will always bind to the DNA. It will always produce transcription factors. It will always cause G1 to S phase movement, and ultimately leads to more and more cell division, and uncontrollable, unregulated cell division will lead to neoplasia. That is very, very important. Okay, so RB acts as the driver mutation most of the time. Okay, so when you don't have RB, that leads to the formation of many, many cells. So inactivating mutations, obviously, okay, because they're usually hypophosphorylated. When they're active, they have to be hypophosphorylated. Okay, when they're inactive, they'll become. When they're hyperphosphorylated, they'll become inactive rather. Okay, so hyperphosphorylated. Okay, so you have RB. Actually, RB, the word stands for retinoblastoma. Is it a benign tumor or a malignant tumor? Is it a benign tumor or a malignant tumor? It's a malignant tumor. Okay, remember I told you there are some exceptions to the OMA rule. Okay, such as melanoma, lymphoma. One of the exception is retinoblastoma. Retinoblastoma is a malignant tumor. It is a highly malignant tumor. It is seen with younger individuals, usually less than the age of 5, most commonly, and you have to remove the eye for that person. Okay, there is no other thing. Okay, so because you want to prevent the movement of this cancer from the optic nerve to the brain. Okay, the only way the patient can survive is by removing the eye. Okay, so that is some people can have bilateral. I'll talk about that just in a while, where 2 eyes are removed to that person. Okay, they have to live their life blind. Okay, especially commonly seen with ages less than 5, most commonly less than 2. Okay, very young it occurs. Okay, anyway, so the idea is it causes retinoblastoma. Remember this blastoma, there is something called as osteoblastoma, that is benign. Okay, so don't fall into that, but the idea is retinoblastoma is malignant, whereas osteoblastoma is benign. Okay, so anyway, so that is retinoblastoma, very highly malignant tumor. Okay, it can also cause, very importantly, the second most common type of tumor it can cause is osteosarcoma. So what is osteo? Bone. Why are we calling it sarcoma? Malignant. Why? It is soft tissue. It is a soft tissue. Okay, so mesenchymal soft tissue, connective tissue. So that's why we call it a sarcoma. Instead of carcinoma, we call it sarcoma. Now, breast carcinoma, lung carcinoma, and colon carcinoma. It can also cause all these things. Okay. So, retinoblastoma is the most common, followed by osteosarcoma. Okay. So, because it was found out in retinoblastoma, we are calling it a RB gene. So, where is RB gene? Is it there in every cell in your body or only in the retinoblasts or whatever? Every cell. Okay. So, all our genes are similar in every cell in our body. Okay, so that is important to remember. That's why if you get RB gene mutation, you can have elsewhere also. You can have a breast carcinoma, you have a bone cancer, lung cancer, and colon cancer. Right? So now, there is very important thing. This is very important for your exams. It is called as Knudsen hypothesis. Okay, so there was a scientist. His name is Alfred G. Knudsen. He is an oncologist, and he has proposed a theory of oncogenesis. Oncogenesis is nothing but carcinogenesis. Onco is cancer. Okay, so he has proposed, and what he said was, there should be 2 hits of RB genes required to produce retinoblastoma. Okay, so I'll talk about what is this gene and all. So firstly, imagine, once again, our beautiful cell. This time we have given a green color. Now the nucleus is white color. Okay, so let's take any chromosome. Okay, so let's imagine RB gene is there on chromosome 13. Okay, so RB gene is there on chromosome 13. So how many copies of each chromosome do we have? 2 copies. Oh, we are diploid organisms, right? So we are diploid. So obviously you have 2 copies of chromosome 13. Okay, it is easier to remember. What is the unlucky number for most people? 13, right? So 13 is considered unlucky. Okay, so remember 13 is unlucky. RB, if you have something important, something has mutated, your luck is very bad. So that's why 13. Okay, so RB is there on which chromosome? Chromosome 13. So now we'll see what happens. So what are these things? So if chromosomes are 2, genes are also 2 copies are there. So now what do we call these copies? Each copy is called allele. Okay, the gene is RB. There are 2 copies of this. So these copies are called allele. So this is 1 allele. This is 2 allele. Okay, so now let's see what is happening. So now let's imagine. So once again, I told there is chromosome 13 and there are 2 things. So now let's imagine that the green is normal. Okay, so here you see green is normal. So now what happened? At the 2 allele, at the second allele, what happened? It became red. Okay, so it became mutated. Imagine. So whenever you see red, imagine it is inactivated. So what Knudsen states is 1 mutation is not enough to cause retinoblastoma. Okay, what does it say is in a same cell you should have 2 mutations in the same cell. That is very important to remember. Okay, so in the same cell you should have 2 mutations, not 1, but 2 mutations are required for causing this mutation. Okay, so this concept is called as loss of heterozygosity. Once. So why loss of heterozygosity? Because when you have only 1 mutation, that is heterozygous. That is 1 allele is normal, 1 allele is abnormal. But when you have 2 alleles, which are mutated, then it is called as they have become homozygous rather. Okay, so both have become abnormal now. So these are called as homozygous. Very, very important. Okay, so Knudsen double hit hypothesis states you should have mutations of 2 things. You should have inactivating mutations of 2 things. So to simply understand this, let's imagine. What do you think this is? A building, school. Okay, let's imagine it's a bank. We'll name a bank. What do we name it? Medicity. Imagine Medicity have earned so much money that they don't have where to keep, so they have only created a bank. Okay, let's call it a Medicity Bank. Right, so now, okay, so Medicity Bank. You follow on the screen. Okay, so Medicity Bank is there. So what is happening? Who is there outside of the bank usually when you have a lot of money? Security guards are there. Okay, so obviously imagine 2 security guards are there. Right, so once again you can ask, sir, why are they both same? Okay, so I told you, right, low budget film, we don't have actors. Okay, so the same guy, so 2 are there. So now let's imagine, let's say I'm there, I'm slowly sneaking in, I want to rob this bank. So I've come into the picture. Okay, what I want to do? I want to rob this bank. So imagine this bank is very nicely constructed. You know where you can enter it from either way. You cannot break the wall, you cannot come onto the terrace. The only way to go inside this bank is through the front door. Okay, so what is the only option that I have? So let's say what happened. Now I'm planning. Okay, so I'm a very strong man. So what I did, I killed this person. Okay, so what happened to this first security guard?
He died.
Now can I enter inside? Why? Because the second one is as competent. Okay, so I killed the first guy. Obviously, I should be happy, right? If I kill the first guy, so my guy is happy, right? Okay, so I killed the guy. I'm happy. Yeah, so now what should happen? What should I do now next?
Kill the
So the
second
first guy is
guy.
dead. Okay, so what should I do now? The second guy should also be dead. Okay, so what happened? What I did? I killed the second guy also. Okay, so if I don't kill the second guy, I can't enter the bank. So the only way I can enter the bank is by killing the second guy also. Okay, so I think once again the system hang up. Just give me a program again. Someone is telling Medicity got angry. Okay, so what happened? So what happened? We killed both the people. Okay, so one guy has dead, both have. So now I can easily enter the bank and rob the bank in the same way. So I can't enter the bank with 1% dead. In the same way, what does Knudsen hypothesis states? It states that you should have both inactivating mutations of both the alleles. Okay, so not one allele. This is first hit. If one allele. Okay, so this is the first hit, whereas this is the second hit. So only if this second hit, first and second hit happens, then only you can enter the bank. Then only you can get retinoblastoma. So now, what does it explain? It explains that why retinoblastoma is very rare in general public. Okay, because the probability once again, right? So if you take 10 cells, okay, the probability of only one cell getting 2 mutations is very less. The mathematical probability is very less of only one cell getting 2 mutations. Okay, so that's why it explains the concept that retinoblastoma is very rare in general public. So where can it be more? Can you think of anything where it can be more retinoblastoma? Are there any people who are more prone? Yeah, where every cell in their body is mutated. I'll talk about that. There is one condition which is called as familial retinoblastoma. So what is the meaning of familial? That means the gene is, the gene mutation is
Inherited.
Okay, so in this people, what is happening? When I enter the bank, always one person is lying down. I did not kill 2 people now because the first person is already, the first is already happened because of the genetics. I have to only kill one person. Is it easier for me to kill one person or 2 persons? Only one person. Okay, so obviously that's why these people, familial retinoblastomas, they have bilateral retinoblastomas. Okay, both eyes. And also apart from retinoblastomas, because every cell in their body is mutated, they'll also have osteosarcomas and all the other things. Okay, so lung cancers, colon cancers, all they can have. Okay, very important to remember. Okay, so now let's take this chart. Let's try to imagine this chart. This is normal. Okay, so let's imagine you are a normal person and all the cells in your body are normal. This yellow is normal, red is mutated. Let's imagine. So all are normal. Okay, so now this is the first hit which has happened. So now what should happen to the second hit? Should it happen in the same cell or different cell? Yeah, in the same cell. Okay, so second hit should also happen in the. So when the second hit also happens in the same cell, what will happen? The cell will progress to retinoblastoma. It is very rare rather. Why it is rare? Because if one cell is mutated, only one mutation happens, it doesn't go into retinoblastoma. You should have at least 2 mutations in the same cell. So mathematical probability is very less. Okay, so in the same cell, 2 mutations involving the RB gene. So you have ton of DNA. Okay, so you should be extremely unlucky. Extreme. If you are extremely unlucky, then you'll get the probabilities, right? So 99.9% like that. You should be in that 0.1% like that. That's why, okay, chromosome 13. Okay, so that is retinoblast. So now what will happen? We'll see this familial form. So familial form is, it means that you're getting it from your mom, dad, or both. Okay, so in this case, let's imagine you're getting it from dad. Okay, dads are always bad, right? So dads, you're getting it from dads. Okay, so anyway, so imagine you got it from dad. So now what is happening? Your zygote has a mutation. So zygote has a mutation. So now what will happen as a result when zygote has a mutation? Every cell, because every cell in your body, we have billions of cells, and all these cells, they are formed from a single cell, from the zygote itself. Okay, so all these cells which are formed, they all have this mutation. Okay, so what is happening as a result? The first hit is already happened. Okay, now it is very easier for the second hit because only one hit happens, that person will get retinoblastoma. It is the second hit because first hit has already happened inheritedly. Familial only, you have inherited that mutation. So one acquired mutation will lead to the formation of retinoblastoma. So that's why retinoblastoma in normal people is very rare, but in people with familial forms, you can have bilateral retinoblastomas. So there is also one word which is called as trilateral retinoblastomas. Okay, where is the third eye? You're not Lord Shiva, right? So where is the third eye? That is called as pineal gland. You remember? Pineal gland. Pineal gland is actually in amphibians and all, it acts as a rudimentary eye. Okay, so it has some kind of a retinoblast cells it has. Okay, so that can lead to trilateral retinoblastoma, especially in the familial form. So trilateral retinoblastoma and familial form. Okay, so bilateral retinoblastoma, pinealoblastoma, and this osteosarcoma can happen in this patient. Okay, so bilateral can happen. That is important to remember. This is the normal concept that we have. Previously, I told you about Lee-Fraumeni syndrome. It is also an inherited disorder. It is also having multiple mutations. Okay, normally in sporadic cases, that is when the patient is normal, sporadic form, when the patient is normal, you only have a single tumor. Okay, so you have a single tumor because the probability is less, as we talked about earlier. But in patients with familial form, what will happen? They'll usually have multiple mutations, multiple tumors rather. Okay, multiple tumors, and if it's usually bilateral. Okay, if you have lungs, it will be in bilateral lungs. Okay, so if you have eyes, it is bilateral retinoblastoma, like in the case of RBG. Okay, so this is important to remember. And lastly, I'll just add about one thing. I think you already studied in your apoptosis. There are some genes which cause pro-apoptosis. What are those genes, if you remember? BAD, BAX, BCLX, XS. Okay, so and P53. These are genes which cause apoptosis. Okay, so what are the genes which inhibit apoptosis? Yeah, anti-apoptotic genes. Can you name one anti-apoptotic genes? BCL2. Very, very important. So what happens if BCL2 is more? It inhibits apoptosis. What happens if it inhibits apoptosis? The cell will become immortal. So if it becomes immortal, what will happen? It will start dividing more and more. Okay, so I just wanted to add this point because we've already studied this in apoptosis. But the idea is BAD, BAX, BCL, XS, and P53, they are pro-apoptosis. So P53 is two things. P53 is tumor suppressor gene and also pro-apoptotic gene. Okay, whereas BCL2 is an anti-apoptotic gene. It prevents the apoptosis, and as a result, when it is overregulated, it is more in number. What happens? It leads to immortality of the cell. When cell becomes immortal, it will start to divide very rapidly, and ultimately that leads to more and more cells, uncontrollable cell proliferation. That leads to neoplasia. Okay, so to summarize whatever we have studied so far. Okay, so to summarize lastly, what are the two types of genes that we have? So four things will write: tumor suppressor genes, proto-oncogenes, DNA repair genes, and apoptotic, whatever genes which cause apoptosis or apoptosis related genes we'll call it. Okay, so tumor suppressor are braking system. Okay, so they are brakes of your body. So what do? They control the cell regulation. Can you name some tumor suppressor genes? Okay, so normally it is called TP53. TP53 is the gene. P53 is the protein which comes from that gene. Okay, TP53 gene and RB gene. RB gene is called retinoblastoma. Where is it present? Chromosome
13th chromosome.
Sometimes they can ask. Okay, so what about proto-oncogenes? Proto-oncogenes are like accelerators. So what are the classes of proto-oncogenes? Growth factors, growth factor receptors, signal transduction proteins, transcription factors, cell cycle regulator. What are the cell cycle regulators? Cyclins and TDKs. Okay, so what do cyclins do? They promote cell division. Okay, so cycle goes forward. Okay, so that is the idea. So DNA repair genes, there are some examples. BRCA1. Okay, it is involved in breast cancer. Okay, you study this later on. Okay, so I don't want to overload you with information, but the idea is BRCA1 mutation can cause. Okay, so what about apoptosis? We talked about BAD, BAX, BCLXS, P53. Okay, whereas anti-apoptosis is BCL. Okay, so this is the whatever general paradigm that we have studied. Okay, so if you open your book, now you'll see a lot of these things. Individual also they'll give about all the growth factors, growth factor receptors. If you study a little bit of biochemistry, you'll understand everything. Okay, so the main paradigm is the same: growth factor receptor, signal transduction, transcription factors, and cell cycle regulators. So the cell cycle will go forward. Okay, so that is the idea. Right, so those are tumor suppressor genes and proto-oncogenes and everything molecular basis of carcinogenesis. If you open the book, you can actually extend on this information. But this is the main idea. Okay, so this is the concept that I wanted to share with you guys. So that is the end of the class. I'll add the assignment after 15 minutes. I haven't prepared it. Okay, so I'll just prepare it after 15-20 minutes. Okay, so your thing will come back probably one I'll upload. Okay, so assignment 27A, I think I'll upload it at 1 o'clock, and the other one I'll upload it 10 minutes later. Okay, so just wait for 40-45 minutes.